It seems like everywhere you turn these days, the pressure is on. Deadlines loom, expectations rise, and life feels like a constant race against the clock. But amidst all of this chaos, there's a powerful idea from the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus that cuts through the noise. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think about that for a moment. What if the secret to staying calm under pressure wasn't about changing the situation itself, but about changing how you respond to it? In this video, we're going to unpack timeless Stoic strategies that have helped people through centuries and across continents find clarity and resilience in even the most intense situations. By the end, you'll have practical techniques to transform stress into strength and reclaim your inner calm, no matter what life throws your way, ready to take control where it truly matters. Let's begin. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying a mistake you made or obsessing over something completely out of your hands? Maybe it's the way someone reacted to you, the results of a test you've already taken, or even tomorrow's weather. It's exhausting, isn't it? That relentless cycle of worrying about things you simply cannot change. Here's where the wisdom of Epictetus offers a lifeline. Some things are within our power while others are not. This idea, known as the dichotomy of control, is fundamental to Stoic thought, and it has the power to completely shift the way you see the challenges in your life. At its core, the dichotomy of control is about recognizing a simple but profound truth. There are things you can control, and there are things you can't. What's within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your choices, the way you show up in the world, and what's outside of your control, well, practically everything else. Other people's opinions, unexpected events, the past or the future, these are all beyond your influence. Yet, so much of our anxiety, frustration, and anger comes from trying to change what we can't. It's like trying to push back the tide with your bare hands. No wonder we feel overwhelmed. Imagine this: you have an important job interview coming up. Naturally, you prepare, you research the company, practice answering questions, and choose your outfit carefully. These are all things within your control. But then the day comes and you walk out of the interview feeling unsure. Maybe the interviewer seemed distracted, or perhaps you stumbled over one of your answers. You could spend the next week agonizing over these details, questioning how you performed, and worrying about whether you'll get the job. But here's the Stoic approach. Once you've done what you can, prepared thoroughly, shown up on time, and given it your best effort, the outcome is no longer in your hands. The decision belongs to the employer. You've done your part, and that's all you can control. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It just means you stop clinging. You free yourself from the weight of trying to manage the unmanageable, and that freedom, it's transformative. You can redirect the energy you'd spend stressing over the outcome towards something that you can influence, maybe preparing for other opportunities or simply enjoying the rest of your day. The Stoics believed that by focusing only on what's within your power, you can navigate high-pressure situations with a sense of clarity and peace, even when the stakes are high. So, here's a question to reflect on. How often do you find yourself worrying about things you have absolutely no influence over? And what would change if you started letting those worries go? The truth is, peace of mind begins when you learn to separate what's yours to handle and what belongs to the universe, so to speak. And once you make this distinction, you'll find that life feels a whole lot lighter. Picture this: an athlete preparing for a big competition. They don't just train for the perfect race or game day, they rehearse every possible scenario. What if it's raining? What if their equipment malfunctions? What if they fall behind early on? By anticipating these challenges, they're not caught off guard if things go sideways. Instead, they're ready, steady, and able to adapt. This, in essence, is the Stoic practice of Premeditatio Malorum or the premeditation of evils, and it's one of the most profound tools for staying calm in high-pressure situations. The idea is simple yet incredibly powerful. Take time to mentally walk through the challenges, setbacks, or failures that could come your way. This doesn't mean you're being negative or pessimistic. It's actually the opposite. It's about preparing your mind so when adversity strikes, you're not thrown into a spiral of panic or despair. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca put it, rehearse them in your mind: exile, torture, war, shipwreck. All the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes. Now, while your day-to-day challenges might not be as dramatic as Seneca's examples, the principle still applies. By visualizing potential difficulties, you can approach them with composure and clarity instead of being blindsided. Let's ground this with a real-life example. Think about a big presentation at work or school. What could go wrong? Maybe your slides won't load, or someone will ask a question you don't know the answer to. Instead of ignoring these possibilities and hoping for the best, imagine them happening in advance. Visualize how you'd respond calmly and confidently, bringing backup materials, staying composed, or simply admitting you don't have the answer but will follow up later. When you mentally prepare for these scenarios beforehand, they lose their power to rattle you, and if, in reality, none of these hiccups occur, great. You're still better prepared overall, but here's the key. This practice isn't about obsessing over worst-case scenarios or catastrophizing. It's about creating a mental cushion. It's about reducing the emotional sting of the unexpected. When you've already lived through the setback in your mind, you're far less likely to react emotionally because it no longer feels like uncharted territory. It feels familiar, manageable, and within your capacity to handle. This technique also shifts your perspective on life's challenges. Instead of seeing them as unfair or insurmountable, you start to view them as part of the deal. Life will bring its share of hurdles. Some of them may sting, but none of them have to break you. As Seneca reminds us, he robs present ills of their power who has perceived them coming beforehand. By practicing Premeditatio Malorum you're essentially disarming life's difficulties before they even arrive. So, how might this look for you in your daily life? What challenges could you visualize ahead of time? A rough commute, a difficult conversation, a tight deadline? And how might this mental preparation help you face those situations with more calm, focus, and grace? The beauty of this practice is that it's not just about surviving the tough moments, it's about thriving in them. When we anticipate the worst, we free ourselves from the shock and fear of the unknown, and that, in turn, allows us to stay grounded and rational no matter the storm. Have you ever noticed how worrying about the future seems to amplify your stress? It's like your mind spirals, thinking about every possible what if, and before you know it, anxiety takes over. It's something we've all experienced, but here's the truth that the Stoics understood so well. Stress often isn't about what's happening right now. It's about what we think could happen next. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us of this with a simple yet profound piece of advice: confine yourself to the present. What does this mean? It means redirecting your attention away from the imagined chaos of the future and grounding yourself in what's real, in what's happening here, now, in the present moment. Marcus believed that the present is the only place where we truly have power. The past is gone, the future is uncertain, but the present, it's where life is unfolding, where you can act, respond, and make choices. Staying anchored in the here and now not only reduces stress, but also helps you approach high-pressure situations with clarity and focus. Let's explore how this looks in practice. Imagine you're overwhelmed by an upcoming deadline. Your mind starts racing. What if I can't finish in time? What if it's not good enough? What if I disappoint everyone? In this moment, Marcus would ask you to pause and focus on a simpler question. What needs to happen right now? Maybe it's drafting an outline or completing just one small section of the project. Instead of spinning your wheels with worry about the outcome, you direct your energy to the task at hand. This is the power of presence. It takes the weight of the future and breaks it down into manageable actions today. To help with this, let's turn to some practical techniques that bring the Stoic principle of presence into modern life. One of the simplest yet most effective tools is deep breathing. When you're stressed, intentionally slowing your breath can signal your nervous system to relax. Try taking a slow inhale for 4 seconds, holding it for 4, and exhaling for 8. This not only calms your body, but also pulls your focus to the steady rhythm of your breath, anchoring you in the present. Another powerful method is the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. If you feel overwhelmed, pause and identify 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste or are grateful for. It's a simple exercise, but it works wonders to bring your mind out of spiraling thoughts about the past or future and back to the reality of right now. The beauty of these techniques is that they remind us of Marcus Aurelius's wisdom. Most of what we fear or worry about is either exaggerated or entirely out of our control. By focusing on the present, we strip stress of its power. We stop letting tomorrow's possibilities dictate today's peace. So, here's something to consider. What can you do today, right now, to stay fully present when life feels overwhelming? Maybe it's as simple as taking 5 deep breaths, going for a walk to reconnect with your surroundings, or tackling just the next small step of a larger task. These small acts of presence build resilience over time, helping you face even the highest pressure moments with greater confidence and calmness. At the end of the day, staying grounded in the present isn't just a Stoic practice, it's a reminder to live where life actually happens. What if, in the midst of a high-pressure situation, you could step outside yourself for a moment? Imagine viewing your life not through the lens of fear, frustration, or anxiety, but as a neutral observer, someone watching events unfold without judgment or emotional entanglement. This is at the heart of a powerful Stoic practice, emotional detachment through objectivity. It's not about ignoring or suppressing your emotions, but learning to see events as they truly are, uncolored by the stories your mind might be spinning. Marcus Aurelius offers a timeless reminder about this idea. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." What he's telling us is simple but profound. Events are just events. They don't carry inherent meaning. It's the interpretation we attach to them, the stories we tell ourselves, that determine whether we feel calm or overwhelmed. Let's break this down with an example. Picture a scenario where you're passed over for a promotion at work. In that moment, a flood of thoughts might rush in. I'm not good enough, my boss doesn't appreciate me, or I'll never get ahead in my career. These interpretations can feel deeply personal and trigger intense emotions like disappointment, anger, or self-doubt. But are those stories the absolute truth? Through the Stoic lens, the event itself, being passed over for the promotion, is neutral. It's neither inherently good nor bad. It's simply is asterisk. The emotions arise from the meaning you attach to it. Now, what happens if you step back and reframe the situation? Instead of seeing it as a failure, you might view it as an opportunity to reflect and grow. Maybe it's a chance to develop new skills, seek feedback, or even explore paths you hadn't considered before. By shifting the story, the emotional weight of the event lessens, and you're better equipped to respond with clarity and purpose. This practice of objectivity isn't about denying your feelings. It's human to feel hurt, anxious, or frustrated in challenging moments. But instead of letting those emotions control you, you pause, acknowledge them, and then dig deeper. Ask yourself, what's really happening here? And am I viewing this situation as it is or as I fear it to be? It's like stepping into the role of an impartial judge, sifting through the facts without being swayed by immediate emotional reactions. To make this more concrete, try this exercise. The next time you feel overwhelmed, describe the situation as plainly and factually as possible, almost as if you were writing a news report. For example, instead of saying, "I messed up and now everyone thinks I'm incompetent," you might say, "I missed a deadline at work." Notice how stripping away the emotional narrative changes the way you perceive the situation. It creates space for rational thinking and a calmer response. Now pause for a moment and reflect. What stories are you telling yourself right now about the pressures or setbacks in your life? Are you labeling them as failures, catastrophes, or personal flaws? And more importantly, how might those stories change if you looked at them through a more objective, detached lens? The truth is, we can't always control the events of our lives, but as the Stoics remind us, we can control how we interpret and respond to them. By practicing emotional detachment and embracing objectivity, we gain the clarity to navigate even the most high-pressure situations with grace and resilience. And ultimately, this clarity frees us to focus on what truly matters, rather than being swept away by fleeting emotions. Imagine living under one of the most unpredictable and volatile rulers in history, an emperor whose whims could mean your downfall at any moment. This was the reality for Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers who served as an advisor to Nero, the notoriously erratic Roman emperor. Nero's reign was fraught with paranoia, betrayal, and impulsive decisions that left many around him in a constant state of fear. And yet, Seneca managed to navigate these treacherous waters with remarkable composure. How? By adhering to one of Stoicism's core principles, prioritizing rationality over emotional reactivity. Seneca understood a fundamental truth: emotions like fear, anger, and panic are natural responses, but they cloud our judgment and often lead to decisions we later regret. Instead of letting knee-jerk reactions dictate his actions, Seneca leaned on reason. He assessed situations objectively, responding with calm deliberation rather than impulsivity. As he famously wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." What Seneca recognized is that in moments of crisis, our emotions can blow the situation out of proportion, creating unnecessary turmoil. By using reason as a guide, we not only make better decisions but also maintain a sense of inner peace. Think about it. How often do we let emotional reactivity take the wheel in stressful situations? Perhaps someone cuts you off in traffic, and before you know it, frustration boils over. Or maybe a colleague criticizes your work, and you immediately snap back in defense, only to regret it later. These instinctive reactions rarely serve us well. In fact, they often escalate problems instead of solving them. The Stoics teach us that while we can't always control the challenges we face, we can control how we respond to them, with reasoned thinking rather than impulsive emotion. So, how can we apply this principle of rationality in our daily lives? One of the most practical tools is the power of the pause. When faced with a high-pressure trigger, take a moment, just a few seconds, to breathe and consider your response. Imagine hitting the pause button on your initial emotional reaction. Ask yourself, what's really happening here? What's the logical next step? By creating this small space between the stimulus and your response, you give yourself the chance to act thoughtfully instead of reacting on impulse. Here's an example. Picture yourself in a heated argument. Your first instinct might be to shout back or say something hurtful in the heat of the moment. But if you pause, even briefly, and consider the situation rationally, you might realize that escalating the conflict won't solve anything. Instead, you could respond with something measured, like, "I can see this is important to you." Let's take a moment to calm down and revisit this. That shift from reactivity to rationality can completely change the outcome. Another useful practice is to question the validity of your emotions in the moment. Let's say you feel angry because a friend cancelled plans last minute. Take a step back and ask, is my anger justified? What reason might my friend have had for cancelling? Is this really worth holding on to resentment? By examining the situation through a rational lens, you're likely to find a more balanced perspective, which prevents negative emotions from spiraling out of control. Now think about how this principle could transform your own life. What would change if, in moments of stress or conflict, you pause to think rationally before reacting? How much unnecessary tension could you avoid? The Stoics believed that by relying on reason, we free ourselves from becoming slaves to our emotions. In the words of Seneca, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Here, he reminds us that emotional overreactions often arise from unchecked desires or fears. But when we let logic and measured responses govern our actions, we create space for clarity, patience, and ultimately peace of mind. The next time a high-pressure moment arises, remember, the power lies not in controlling the situation itself, but in controlling your response to it. The choice to pause, reflect, and act with reason isn't always easy, but it's one of the most liberating tools you can carry, and it's one the Stoics remind us we always have at our disposal. What if, instead of resisting challenges and wishing things were different, you could embrace them as though they were meant to be? This isn't about blind optimism or pretending that everything is easy. It's about adopting a mindset so profound yet liberating that it can transform how you see the world, a mindset the Stoics called Amor Fati or love of fate. At its core, Amor Fati is the practice of wholeheartedly accepting and embracing everything life throws your way, both the good and the bad, as an essential part of your journey. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it beautifully when he said, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Think about that for a moment. A fire doesn't fight what's thrown into it, it consumes it, adapts to it, and uses it as fuel to burn brighter. This is the essence of Amor Fati. When life hands you setbacks, difficulties, or unexpected challenges, you don't resist or resent them. Instead, you welcome them as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Let's explore how this concept can change the way we approach adversity. Imagine this scenario. You've been working hard on a project for months, and at the last moment it falls apart. Maybe your client backs out, your idea gets rejected, or circumstances outside your control derail everything. Your first instinct might be frustration, disappointment, or even anger. But what if, instead of resisting the situation or wishing it had gone differently, you saw this setback as part of your path? What if you asked yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this moment to grow? Maybe this failed project pushes you to refine your skills, explore a new direction, or even uncover opportunities you had never considered before. This perspective doesn't erase the difficulty of the moment, it reframes it. It allows you to see that what feels like an obstacle might actually be redirection. As the Stoics believed, everything that happens is part of nature's order. Fighting against it only adds unnecessary suffering. Embracing it, on the other hand, turns what seems like a burden into a stepping stone. Here's a relatable example. Think about unexpected professional setbacks, like not getting a job you were certain would change your career. It's easy to feel defeated, thinking, "Why me? What did I do wrong?" But what if that rejection wasn't the end of your journey but the start of something better? Countless stories exist of people who didn't land their dream job, only to discover a completely different, more fulfilling path they wouldn't have pursued otherwise. Amor Fati encourages us to view these twists and turns as essential pieces of the bigger puzzle, pieces that contribute to who we're meant to become. Now pause for a moment and reflect. How would your outlook on life change if you embraced challenges instead of resisting them? What if you saw every setback, every moment of pressure, not as an interruption but as part of the natural flow of your journey? This doesn't mean you have to enjoy every hardship, but it does mean accepting them as opportunities to evolve. When you practice Amor Fati, you stop wasting energy wishing things were different and start using that energy to move forward. So the next time a challenge arises, whether it's a missed opportunity, a personal loss, or simply a frustrating day, ask yourself, how can I welcome this as part of my story? How can I use this to grow? Because when you embrace life as it is, no matter how difficult, you gain something far greater than control over events. You gain the power to transform them. Just like the fire that turns everything into light and heat, you can use even life's hardest moments to become brighter and stronger. This is the magic of Amor Fati, not just accepting life's challenges, but truly loving them as part of what makes you, you. Imagine this. It's a chilly winter morning, and instead of enjoying your usual warm shower, you turn the dial all the way to cold. The icy water hits your skin, and every part of you screams to jump out, but you stay. You take a deep breath, focus your mind, and let yourself adapt to the discomfort. Why would anyone willingly choose this? Because this simple act is more than just a cold shower. It's training for life's inevitable challenges. This is the Stoic practice of voluntary discomfort, a powerful exercise in building mental and emotional resilience. The idea behind voluntary discomfort is straightforward. By intentionally exposing yourself to minor, controlled hardships, you prepare your mind and body to handle larger, uncontrollable challenges with greater ease. Life will, without a doubt, bring moments of discomfort, stress, and uncertainty. The Stoics believed that instead of fearing or avoiding these difficulties, we should embrace opportunities to strengthen ourselves in advance. As Epictetus reminds us, difficulties show a person's character. So when trouble comes, think of yourself as a wrestler whom God, like a trainer, has paired with a tough young man. For what purpose? To turn you into Olympic-class material. In modern life, most of us live in relative comfort. We have temperature-controlled environments, instant access to food, and countless tools to make our lives easier. And while this convenience is a gift, it can also make us less prepared for unexpected adversity. By practicing discomfort in small, manageable ways, we gradually become less reliant on constant ease and more capable of enduring life's inevitable hardships. Take cold showers, for example, or even skipping your morning coffee. These are minor, temporary discomforts, but they challenge your mind to adapt and stay in control, even when things don't feel pleasant. Over time, this kind of training helps you foster a more resilient mindset. When faced with larger pressures like a difficult conversation or a sudden setback, you'll find yourself more composed and capable of handling the moment. It's not about the cold shower itself, it's about who you become because of it. Another example might be choosing to walk or bike to work instead of driving, even if it takes longer or feels inconvenient. Or maybe you try fasting for a day, giving yourself the opportunity to observe your thoughts and reactions when hunger arises. These small acts of voluntary discomfort build a sense of self-discipline and mental toughness. They teach you that not every desire has to be immediately satisfied, and that you're strong enough to endure temporary struggles without losing control. The beauty of this practice is that it's not about punishing yourself. It's about cultivating gratitude for what you have and training yourself to stay calm and composed regardless of your circumstances. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, often practiced sleeping on the floor or eating the simplest foods, even though he was wealthy and could afford luxury. He explained, set aside a few days each month in which you are content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough clothing, and ask yourself, is this what one used to dread? This exercise, he argued, helps you realize that many of the things we fear losing are less terrible than we imagine, which frees us from worry and makes us more adaptable. So, what could this look like for you? What small discomforts could you experiment with to build your own resilience? Maybe it's spending an afternoon without your phone, practicing patience when stuck in traffic, or challenging yourself to finish a workout even when it gets hard. These small acts might seem insignificant at first, but over time they chip away at your dependence on comfort and help you face life's bigger pressures with greater strength and clarity. The next time you have the chance to lean into a little discomfort, ask yourself, what if this is exactly the kind of training I need to face the unexpected curveballs of life? Because the truth is, resilience isn't built in moments of ease. It's forged in moments of challenge, one small step at a time. In the grand scheme of things, how much does this high-pressure moment truly matter? That's a question the Stoics would often reflect on, and it's one that has the power to instantly reframe how we approach the challenges that feel so overwhelming in the moment. Stoicism teaches us the value of perspective, the ability to zoom out and see our problems, our worries, and even our fears as small blips in the vast expanse of time and the universe. It's not about dismissing what you're going through, but about understanding that, in the bigger picture, most of the things that stress us out today will eventually seem far less significant. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote extensively about this idea in his Meditations. He often reminded himself of the fleeting nature of life with observations like, realize that if you live 100 years or only a few, either way you lose only the present moment, for the past is already gone and the future is not yet here. Essentially, he's saying that life is temporary. Its struggles, triumphs, and everything in between, they all pass. And when we recognize how brief our time really is, we realize that much of what we stress about is, in the end, inconsequential. Think of it this way: picture a problem that felt massive to you 5 years ago. Maybe a failed exam, a breakup, or a missed opportunity. At the time, it probably consumed your thoughts, but what about now? Chances are it no longer carries the same weight. You might barely even think about it. That's the gift of perspective, and the Stoics challenge us to practice this in real time. When you're in the middle of a high-pressure situation, zoom out. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? By doing this, you remove some of the emotional urgency that makes stress feel so overwhelming. Let's look at a modern scenario to apply this principle. Say you're at work and you've just been assigned an urgent project with a tight deadline. The pressure feels intense and you can feel the stress building in your chest. Now pause, take a moment to zoom out. Ask yourself, will this really matter in 6 months or a year? Chances are, while the project is important right now, it's unlikely to define your career or life in the long term. Viewing the situation through this broader lens can help you calm down and approach the task with a clearer, more focused mind. This principle of perspective isn't just about time, it's also about the sheer scale of the universe. The Stoics would encourage us to look up at the stars and reflect on how vast and ancient the cosmos is. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that we're just a tiny part of something much larger. And while that might sound humbling, it's also deeply freeing. Our problems, no matter how big they feel, are small in the context of the universe. This isn't meant to belittle our challenges, but rather to show us that they don't have to dominate our mental and emotional space. So here's something to consider. How can shifting your perspective help you stay calm right now? The next time you feel the weight of stress or anxiety pressing down, take a moment to zoom out. Imagine your life as a timeline stretching across decades. Then, imagine that timeline as a single thread in the immense fabric of history and the universe. When you do this, you'll likely find that what seemed monumental just moments ago now feels manageable, maybe even insignificant. Perspective gives us the space to breathe, to focus, and to remember that most moments of pressure are just passing clouds in the sky of our lives. And with that realization, we regain the calm and clarity to handle them with grace. When's the last time you paused to reflect on your day or your reactions? In the rush of daily life, it's easy to let one moment bleed into the next without stopping to make sense of what we've experienced. But the Stoics practiced something remarkably simple yet profound to stay grounded, gain clarity, and improve themselves over time: journaling. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoics, wrote his thoughts and reflections in what we now know as *meditations*. These weren't meant for anyone else to read. They were his personal notes, a way to process emotions, track his progress, and remind himself of the principles he wanted to live by. And today, this ancient practice remains one of the most effective tools for navigating high-pressure situations with calm and a clear mind. Journaling is more than just putting words on a page. It's an intentional act of self-reflection, a way to slow down and examine how we respond to life's challenges. Think of it as holding up a mirror to your mind. By writing about your experiences, you create the space to observe patterns in your behavior, uncover the root of your stress, and identify areas where you can improve. For Marcus Aurelius, journaling was a nightly ritual. He would reflect on the day's events and ask himself questions like, did I act in line with my values today? Was I fair, patient, and calm, or did I let frustration and emotions get the better of me? Through this practice, he wasn't judging himself harshly, he was learning from his own experiences. So, how can you use journaling in your own life? It doesn't have to be elaborate or time-consuming. Start with just a few simple prompts like, what went well today? What could I have improved? Or what situations tested my patience or composure? These questions help you process your day in a constructive way, turning stressful moments into opportunities for growth. For example, if you reflect on a difficult meeting where you felt overwhelmed, journaling might help you pinpoint what triggered those emotions and how you can handle similar situations more calmly in the future. Over time, this consistent self-reflection builds a stronger sense of self-awareness, one of the Stoics' most powerful tools for navigating life. Let's look at how this practice could work in real life. Imagine you're juggling multiple deadlines at work. The day feels chaotic, and by the evening, stress has taken its toll. Instead of carrying that tension into the next day, journaling allows you to unpack it. You might write something like, I felt really stressed when I saw my inbox piling up this morning. Maybe I need to start prioritizing tasks differently or set aside specific times to check emails. This small act of reflection not only helps you process your emotions, but also gives you actionable insights to make tomorrow better. Another benefit of journaling is that it provides a written record of your progress. On tough days, you can look back and see how far you've come, how situations that once rattled you now barely faze you, all thanks to the consistent effort you've put into becoming more composed under pressure. It's like seeing the blueprint of your own growth unfold one page at a time. So here's a question to consider. What stressors from today could you process through writing? Whether it's a conflict with a colleague, a missed opportunity, or even just general frustration, take a few moments to put your thoughts on paper. You might be surprised by how much lighter you feel and how much clearer your mind becomes after reflecting in this way. Journaling isn't just about solving problems, it's about building a deeper connection with yourself and creating a habit of intentional living. As the Stoics understood so well, self-improvement starts with self-reflection. And journaling just might be the best tool to begin that practice. Even in chaos, there's often something to be thankful for. Have you noticed? It's not always obvious, especially when stress feels overwhelming or when life throws unexpected challenges your way. But the Stoics believed that gratitude, even in the most difficult situations, is a powerful tool to transform your mindset. By focusing on what you already have rather than what you lack or what's going wrong, you can shift your perspective and find calm even in the storm. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic thinkers, offers this timeless wisdom. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have. Gratitude, according to Seneca, isn't about ignoring life's difficulties, but about grounding yourself in the abundance you already possess. Whether it's in the form of relationships, experiences, or even the smallest comforts of the present moment. When you're in the middle of a high-pressure situation, gratitude might feel counterintuitive. Stress often pulls your focus entirely toward what's going wrong, deadlines, conflicts, or the sheer weight of responsibility. But gratitude is about redirecting that focus to what's supporting you in the moment. For example, imagine you're in the middle of a work crisis. A major deadline looms and tensions are high. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, but what if you paused and reflected on what's going right? Maybe it's the support of a colleague who stepped in to help lighten your load. Maybe it's the fact that, even under pressure, you're still capable of tackling the challenges one by one. By choosing to acknowledge these positives, however small they may seem, you bolster your resilience and remind yourself that you're not alone in the struggle. Gratitude also helps break the all-or-nothing thinking that stress often brings, that feeling where it seems like everything hinges on this one moment. When you take time to appreciate what's already good in your life, you remind yourself that no single challenge defines your entire existence. There's still beauty, support, and joy to be found even in tough times. It's a grounding practice that pulls you out of a narrow, stress-focused mindset and reconnects you with the broader picture. Here's a simple exercise you can try. When you feel the weight of pressure bearing down on you, take a moment to ask yourself, what's one thing I can be grateful for right now? It doesn't have to be something profound. It could be as simple as the warmth of your coffee, the patience of a friend, or even the fact that you've made it this far despite the challenges. Writing it down can make the feeling of gratitude even more tangible. Over time, this practice not only reduces immediate stress but also rewires your mind to notice the positives more naturally, even in difficult moments. Let's bring this idea to life with another example. Think about a frustrating commute after a long day. The traffic is heavy, you're tired, and it feels like your patience is running out. But what if, instead of fixating on the delay, you shifted your attention? Maybe you can appreciate the comforting music playing in the background or the fact that you have a safe car to sit in. The situation hasn't changed, but your perspective softens and the stress becomes more manageable. This is the power of gratitude. It shifts you from resistance to acceptance, from frustration to a quiet sense of peace. So here's the thought I'd like to leave you with. What's one thing you can be grateful for right now, even amidst pressure? Take a moment to reflect, and you might find that even in difficult times, gratitude has a way of reminding us of the strength, support, and abundance we often overlook. And when you anchor yourself in that gratitude, the chaos around you feels just a little less overwhelming. What if the next time you feel stressed or overwhelmed, you could consult a Stoic philosopher, someone who's experienced life's challenges, wrestled with adversity, and emerged with wisdom to share? Imagine having access to words written centuries ago that are as relevant today as they were then. The truth is you can. Stoic writings like Marcus Aurelius Meditations and Seneca's Letters are more than just books. They're like personal mentors, offering timeless guidance for navigating high-pressure moments with clarity and calm. Let's start with Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Written as a private journal, never intended for publication, this collection of thoughts gives us a rare look into the mind of a Roman emperor who faced constant pressures, from political unrest to personal loss. In the midst of governing an empire, Marcus wrote to remind himself of the Stoic principles that kept him grounded. One of his most famous passages reads, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. When you think about it, this quote is the ultimate reminder in moments of stress. It urges us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions, our mindset, and let go of the external chaos we can do little about. By revisiting pages of Meditations you're essentially consulting a figure who lived through immense responsibility and found ways to thrive despite it. Then there's Seneca's Letters to Lucilius a treasure trove of practical advice written as correspondence with a friend. Seneca's tone is warm and relatable, as though he's sitting across the table from you talking through your challenges. He covers everything from managing time and dealing with fear to embracing hardship. One particularly striking quote of his is, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about how much of our stress stems not from what's actually happening, but from the anticipated what-ifs. Seneca's words remind us that much of the time, it's our own thoughts that magnify the weight of our challenges, and by shifting our perspective, we can reclaim calm and focus. The beauty of Stoic writings is that they're not abstract philosophy, they're actionable tools. When you read these works, you're not just absorbing ideas, you're reminded of practical strategies to navigate life. Let's say you're preparing for a high-pressure presentation. You might turn to Epictetus and read, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things." This quote can help you step back and realize that your stress about the presentation isn't caused by the event itself, but by your perception of the stakes. Reframing your thoughts in this way can free you to focus on what truly matters. Here's an idea. Keep a Stoic book or even a few favorite quotes handy. When a stressful moment arises, take a minute to open it. Treat these writings like a conversation with a trusted guide, an opportunity to pause, reflect, and reset. And here's a reflective question to consider. Which Stoic teaching resonates most with you? How might you carry that wisdom into a challenging moment? Maybe it's Seneca's reminder to distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. Maybe it's Marcus Aurelius urging you to focus on your mind and actions. Whatever it is, let it serve as your anchor, grounding you when the pressure rises. Ultimately, the Stoics remind us that we're never alone in our struggles. Across centuries, they've faced the same fears, frustrations, and uncertainties we do today. Their words are an enduring source of mentorship, a refuge for the mind that we can return to again and again, no matter how high the stakes. So let's take a moment to bring it all together. Throughout this journey into Stoic practices, we've explored some of the most timeless techniques for staying calm under pressure. We started with the Dichotomy of Control, recognizing the liberating power of focusing only on what's within our sphere of influence, our thoughts, actions, and choices, while letting go of the things we cannot change. We discussed the importance of rational thinking, stepping back from emotional reactivity, and responding to challenges with clarity rather than impulse. Then we moved into the practice of presence, learning to anchor ourselves in the here and now instead of being consumed by fears about the future or regrets about the past. We also looked at the transformative power of gratitude, even in the midst of life's storms, and how shifting our focus to what's good and supportive in our lives can reframe our perspective. Lastly, we touched on voluntary discomfort, choosing small, intentional hardships to build resilience, and how Stoic writings, like those of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, can guide us through even the toughest moments. Each of these techniques offers a practical way to navigate the stresses and uncertainties of modern life, helping us remain steady and composed no matter what we face. But the real magic of Stoicism lies in practicing these principles. It's not about simply understanding these ideas, but about integrating them into your daily life. Stoicism reminds us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. And that simple truth is a game changer. As Marcus Aurelius himself said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Think about that for a moment. Strength, peace, and calm don't come from the outside, they come from within. So here's my challenge to you. As you go about your day, reflect on which of these techniques resonated with you the most. Was it letting go of what's out of your control? Practicing gratitude, or maybe using small moments of discomfort to grow stronger? Whatever it was, commit to applying it the next time you're faced with stress or pressure. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just take one small, intentional step toward grounding yourself in these principles and see how it shifts your perspective. And before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from today's video? Which Stoic practice will you try first? Let's start a conversation in the comments below. I'd love to know how these ideas connect with your life. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more content like this. Together, we can explore even more ways to live with clarity, purpose, and inner calm. Remember, tranquility isn't something we find by chance. It's something we create through practice, reflection, and intention. And with these Stoic tools by your side, you have everything you need to face life's pressures with strength and grace. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.